Hello and welcome to this video using Rhino 8. We're going to create the construct for a torus grid following a bicurved surface. We're going to have 10 divisions along the long axis and 6 divisions across the short axis. So let's get started. Start up our Rhino software, and what we'll do is create a rectangle to the boundary of what the grid will be. So we can click on the rectangle tool, we can click the origin in the top view, and we can scroll out a little bit and we can stretch upwards and to the right, and we're going to type in 20, 1, 2, 3, and comma 12, 1, 2, 3, press return, and we can then zoom. Oh, that's not quite right. Let's do that again. We're going to type rectangle. We're going to type click on the origin. We're going to stretch to the left 20, 1, 2, 3, comma 12, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see if that looks a bit better. Okay, that's a better rectangle. Now we're going to click on the midpoint. Make sure the midpoint is selected on your snaps, and we're going to collect from the midpoint in both directions to form the center of the space. We're now going to move that, so we type M to move, we highlight all the items, click on the intersection at the center and move it to the bottom left hand corner. What we can see in the perspective view is that everything is centered on the origin, and we have now got our starting grid. So we're going to click on the origin and we're going to come down into the front view and stretch along the y-axis and type in 1000. Press return on the background. Now we can see this will be the elevation of the curve, so we can put the curves in. We can select a 3-point curve by left hand clicking on the mouse. We can go from the x-axis mid side across to the opposite side and elevate it up to the top of the line, making sure that all the snaps are available, and we can also do the same in the other direction. Okay, so these are two different radii. We're going to select a line and we're going to go from the end point. We're going to come down and make sure that center is clicked, and then we can hover over the short curve and we can see that the line is going to snap to the center of this curve. We can then create another line, and this will be the origin of the short arc radius. We're going to do the same on the long arc by clicking on the end point and then making sure that center is connected. These give us the two constructs for the radii that we're using in this particular example. Okay, that's good. We're going to create a few grids to put all the information on. So the first one we're going to create is grid number 1. In this layer, we're going to make that red. Okay, and then we're going to create another one. We're going to call this grid 2, and we're going to make that blue. Okay, and then we're going to make another layer called edges, and we're going to create that as being green. We click on the box to change the color. Okay, that's good. So now we're going to use only parts of these curves, so we can trim off what we don't need. Let's type in TRIM, select the two main curves, press return, and then we can trim off the bits we don't need. That's good. Now we're going to divide this into a total of 10 divisions along the x-axis and 6 divisions across the y-axis. So we only need 3 divisions in half of this curve and 5 divisions in this one. So we can click on the short curve, we can type rebuild. We need 3 divisions plus 1 point, so it's 4 points for 3 divisions. So this is good. We type in 4. We just need 1 because we're going to facet the curve, and we press OK. Now we've got this curve with 3 divisions. we're going to select the curve, right-hand click on grid 1 and change the object layer. When we click on the background, we now see this has gone red because the red color is on grid 1. We can click on this line and at the bottom of the screen it tells us it's on layer 1. Okay, what we're going to do now is replicate this and we're going to do that looking into the front view and the right view. So if we press Ctrl Alt and E, we can resize everything into the windows so we can see absolutely everything that we're working on. That's good. We can zoom in on this line and we're going to highlight the curve that is on grid 1. We're going to type in array polar, press return, and then we're going to move array polar, press return. It's asking for the center of array, so we're going to move down into the front view and we're going to click on the intersect at the bottom of the large radius. It's now asking for how many items we want. We want this to be 5 divisions, so we will need to have 6 replications of this particular curve. So we're going to type in 6. And the angle to fill will be clicking on the vertical y-axis and then moving around to the end point in the front view. And now we can see that there are 6 lines giving us 5 divisions. So we press return and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're going to move into the perspective view. Double click on perspective. And now what we're going to do is to complete the rest of the torus quadrant. To do this, we're going to select grid 2 as the active layer. We're going to turn off the default layer. And now we're going to type the word polyline, P-O-L-Y-L-I-N-E, and we're going to join the dots. We're going to start at the top and we're going to come all the way down, clicking on all the endpoints to create the facets along the axis parallel to the X direction. We're going to do the same. We're going to deselect the midpoints, deselect the center. We're going to do the same on the endpoints for all the curves. Press return. We're going to do the same. We can press right hand button on the mouse to repeat the last command. And now we can see that this grid is starting to take shape. Okay, so we've now got all of those constructed. What we're going to do is select all of the items. We're going to type the word explode. And now these should be individual components. That's good. We're going to go back to the layers. We're going to click on the layer to make a new layer, and we're going to call this panels. We're going to choose a nice color like aquamarine. And we're going to start to make panels on these surfaces. The way we can do this is to use a command called edge surf, E-D-G-E-S-R-F, press return. And this will allow us to click on a number of curves, so we can click on these 4 curves and that will give us a panel in between those lines. We want to put this panel on the panels layer, so we can right hand click on the layers and change that panel to the panel layer. Let's make the panel layer active, and we're going to do the same for all of the remaining panels within this grid. So we can click on repeat the command edge surf. We can click on all 4 curves. We can right hand click on the mouse and we can repeat that command, selecting the curves all the way down. Each one will be slightly different because of the bicurve nature of the geometry. So we just need to create each of these by clicking on the 4 edges of each panel. It will take just a few moments, and using the right hand key on the mouse will allow you to repeat the commands quite quickly, and you tend to pick up a little bit of speed the more times you do this. We just need to make sure we're clicking the right edges to make sure that we get the right panels. So now this is looking almost 2 divisions complete, and we can now complete the last sector here. So let's complete all of those. Press the curve, okay, right and click on the mouse, select all the edges. Oh, we don't really want anything about Black Friday, do we? Okay, so that's good. Select the curve. One last time. Oh, come along. That's it. And the very last one. This is looking good. Okay. So that's all the panels. What we can now see, this is one quadrant of the whole torus geometry. If we go to the drop-down menu on the perspective, we can shade this, and we can see that all of those panels are now complete. What we're going to do is take that back to wireframe mode, and we're going to switch back on the default layer. What we will notice is that our grid falls below the boundaries of the base. So what we're going to need to do is to trim that back. I'm going to do this within the front view, I think, or the right hand side view. Let's go zoom in on the right hand side here. Okay. What we're going to do is draw a line from the end all the way across to the left hand side. We're going to use this to trim, so we're going to type in trim, T-R-I-M. We're going to select this line as the cutting object. We're going to turn off the default layer, and we're going to select everything below the line, selecting from bottom right hand corner to top left, just below the line. We're going to do that again, and we're going to trim off all of these items. Let's have a look. Let's have a look in the perspective view to see what is happening here. Okay, doesn't look like we've been very successful in the trim, so let's try that again. We'll try it in the front view this time. Let's delete this line away. Okay. In the front view, we can select a line which goes horizontally. We're going to turn off that default layer again. Type in the word trim, T-R-I-M, select the cutting object line, press return, and now we're going to select all of these items. Okay, and we can see that we're having slightly more success, but we just need to make sure that we're going to trim all of those items off. Okay, there will be some items below the line which we can just highlight and delete because we don't want those at all. Okay, so now we don't have anything projecting below the line here. And what this will do, when we look at this in the perspective view, I've just highlighted the cutting line and removed that. When I double click on the front view, we can go to perspective view. We can now see that this gives us the shape of the edge. We need to turn onto the edge layer, so we double click on the layers for edges, turn off the panels, and we can see we've got a raw edge. So what we need to do is to type in polyline, P-O-L-Y-L-I-N-E, and we're going to join the dots on the edge all the way around, like so. Okay, we can turn the panels back on. And if you wish, you can look at that in shaded view. So this is now one quadrant of the torus. What we want to do is to make the full torus. So we're going to mirror along both of these axes. So if we type in the word mirror, M-I-R-R-O-R, press return, we can select all of the items apart from the blue line along the x-axis. Press return, we can click on the crown, and we can either mirror in this direction or we can mirror in this direction. I'm going to come down the y-axis and mirror this way first, and we're going to type mirror again, and with this time we're going to select all of the items below the line, not the centroid line, otherwise we'll duplicate it, and we can select all the way along the long axis, and now we have the torus construct complete. We can press Ctrl Alt E to see everything in its final glory. If we wish, we can type the shaded views in each of these windows to give us the construct of a torus. And that's the end of this video.